Hello, friends. Welcome to Backside Story Musings of a Gastroenterologist. I'll continue with the post of My Life as an Unproven Doctor Lessons of a Lifetime, Part 2 Medical Knowledge. In continuation from my last post, today I'll focus on ACGME competency number 2 Medical Knowledge. In India, one of the most valued competencies for doctors was a physician's medical acumen. It was so esteemed that my entire focus had primarily been on acquiring textbook wisdom. Its prominence and glory is well showcased in many TV dramas such as House MD solving complex medical mysteries. During residency in the US, with the advent of internet, I had found myself in an information outburst. Getting answers to most medical challenges was at my fingertips. But computer, unlike humans, is very concise and precise. In other words, what one asks the computer determines the quality and relevance of the answer. Let me explain this with the following real example. A co-resident, a very methodical and successful physician now, was assessing a patient in an urgent care clinic. The patient was a 75-year-old lady with headache, dizziness, and nausea of 2 days' duration. She had a history of migraines and was at the clinic to get her medications renewed. The overzealous, overly thorough resident got a comprehensive history and read all the causes of nausea, dizziness, and headache on the internet. She was convinced that this triad of symptoms could potentially mean ear disease and literally spent 80 minutes locating an otoscope to examine and clean her ears of all the wax. Faculty physician prescribed the patient anti-migraine meds and did not bill for ear wax removal. He explained, "Time is an expensive commodity. Balance efficiency with perfection." Competency in medical knowledge has subcomponents, also known as sub-competencies. One of them is that trainees should develop an investigative, analytical approach to patient care. In simpler words, residents should acquire appreciation and adequate interpretation of medical research. Let me explain this with my second real-life example. In one of the medical conferences, a faculty presented a research article. The investigators in the research recruited 40 participants and tested their performance 4 times on a driving simulator. First session, participants drove with a handheld cell phone. Second session, they talked with a hand-free version and drove the simulator. Third time, participants consumed free cocktails until they were legally drunk, and in the final session, they drove sober, free of distractions. The results showed that drivers using either type of cell phone were involved in more traffic errors during simulation than drivers who were drunk or sober. My unintelligent conclusion? Drunk driving is not as unhealthy as considered. Another component of this competency is the ability to teach. Next example to highlight this subcompetency. John was admitted for a bleeding peptic ulcer. He had undergone an upper GI endoscopy with cauterization of the bleeding vessel the day before. He was on a pantoprazole drip. Medical student in my team suggested that he could be switched to oral pantoprazole instead of the intravenous formulation. He quoted a research paper demonstrating equal effectiveness and lower cost. Result, John was switched to oral drug twice a day, shortening his inpatient stay by 48 hours, saving a few $1,000s, and making John happier without compromising on his overall treatment efficacy. The takeaway? If you can't teach, at least be open to learn. Once, I was presenting a case to one of my faculty members who is an astute and jolly clinician. This was a 35-year-old man with dry cough and watery diarrhea. I was impressed by my acquaintance that antitussives, such as codeine, have constipating effects. Thus, I could potentially treat both his problems with one drug. Faculty clinician jokingly suggested you could also give him a laxative, as it will achieve the same effect. Bamboozled, I said, "How?" He smilingly said, "Laxatives will result in more watery diarrhea, and patient will be afraid to cough." Takeaway: knowledge is power, and power corrupts. So study hard and be evil. Now time for the research fact, the real fact. WHO reports that as many as 4 in 10 patients globally are harmed in primary and ambulatory healthcare. The most damaging errors are related to diagnosis and the use of medications. Medicine is a constantly evolving discipline. A desire to investigate, learn, and seek new advances in the field is imperative to provide safe and effective care backed by research and evidence. Lifelong lesson. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. Albert Einstein. What about this post stuck with you the most? I would love to hear your own takeaways or knowledge mishaps as a trainee. Please subscribe, share, comment, or advise. Thank you very much for listening. Keep smiling.